Okay, spiritual moment time. So, this is about anger, sadness, laughter. The reason why I think this is a important concept is because I noticed that in life, just like how there's grief, like different stages of grieving, there's almost like this weird way to like have a realization about pain or trauma or something like that, and when you know you've like dealt with it, basically. So how it starts off, and I've noticed this with a lot of people, but how it starts off is anger. Anger is a protective stance that we make, right? We're like, how dare you? You stepped on my foot. So angry. Okay, so then because of that, if you're just staying in the anger, right, then, you know, it makes you feel powerful. Because if you feel like someone's making you powerless or trying to take your power away, it makes you feel more powerful to be like, protective stance. Don't mess with me. Okay, don't try to take my power. I'm about to get angry. You know, stay away from me. Scary, right? And so if you realize, well, if you let go of the anger, what is the sadness that you're protecting yourself from, right? Oh, like, you stepped on my foot and it really hurted, and now my toe hurts and I want to walk it off, and I kind of want to like cry or something, but I don't want to do that. Have everyone see me like a little bitch or something, but it hurts. It's this whole thing, okay? So then you'll be like, okay. So then later, you know how when people say like, we'll look back on this and laugh. It's like that. It's like through the moment of the situation, you're like, this is not funny. Fuck you. I'm going through stuff. It's serious. But later you can look back on it, it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, it was fucked up. Don't get me wrong. The situation was so messed up. But like, whoo, I was like reacting all kinds of weird, you know? And so you're able to kind of like laugh on it. So that's how you know that you've like let it go, basically. Now, that doesn't change the scars. It doesn't change the pain. But you have started to let go. You've started to heal. Not saying you're done, but laughter is a good way of showing that you've started the journey. And so that's why I was like, man, I gotta talk about this concept real quick for the people. So recently I was like, well, why is it hard to deal with the sadness? Well, because once you realize you have the sadness, and you're like, again with the foot explanation, you're like, oh my gosh, you made my foot hurt. Then on a scale from 1 to 100, is this like a 10? Okay, cool. So, you know, that is just life. Life happens. Sometimes stuff hurts. Okay, we can chalk that up, keep pushing forward. You don't have to really worry about it anymore. But when it's for bigger things, then you have this kind of like, well, what am I going to do about it? And so if I was still using that explanation, I would say, oh, you might say, I need to go soak my feet because they hurt. Or, you know, I need to just like walk it off or something. I'll be fine. And later you can be like telling someone a story and say, oh, you know, this person like ran into me earlier and they stubbed my foot and I was just like, ow, that just hurted so much. And say the person like laughs and you're like, and they're like, what, you ran into them? And you're like, I know, it was so dumb. I can't believe it. Like, how did that even happen, right? You laughing about it means you're working towards being over it, okay? So what I've realized recently, and a lot of this like racism stuff, okay, is with a lot of people, the anger I've noticed with like black people, including myself, is like you want to be like, oh, people being racist all the time, and I'm slowly pushing that down all the time, and now I have the outlet to release this anger that slowly bubbles under me most of the time, especially when some shit happened. And I know I've been in situations where you have tried to explain to white people around you some stuff, and they'll just be like, I don't get it. And then you're like, okay, so then this happened and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, that's messed up. It's like, yeah, You know what I mean? But then later you end up having to have another conversation with them, and another. It's like, how are you not getting this, and how do you not understand what Google is? And so I was thinking about, like, when I'm in the anger part, I'm just like, I don't want to see no white people right now, even the ones I like. And then when I'm coming out of it and I feel the sadness, then I'm like, oh, I'm sad because there are just people who are just mean to black people in general for like no reason. It's not fair. And people just always, like, white people use black people as a scapegoat for all kinds of stuff instead of being mad at the people they actually should be mad at. And it's like their own personal problems, and they're getting all their personal problems out on black people because they're there, and they're like the acceptable way of having a scapegoat in this country. And it's just not fair that I gotta see my fellow black people out here going through this, and it's just so sad. And we just out here trying to live our best lives. People will just be mean to us for no reason, like no reason. Okay, all right. And so I was like, even though all those things are valid and all those things are true, that's where the sadness comes from. And so when I'm able to laugh, I can laugh remembering, like, we also are so cool, and they be jealous of us for all kinds of shit all the time. And you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's like a push and pull, right? If you realize that someone doesn't like you because they're jealous of you, or you realize that someone doesn't like you because they feel inferior themselves, when you realize someone doesn't like you because they don't even know you, then you can kind of laugh at, like, I'm awesome and they're missing out. Fuck them. Right? And again, goes to that, laughter is a little bit of pain and pleasure, right? It's like there's the pain of, like, why are you being mean to me? Like, I'm sad, like, you would even, like, feel this way. But then, you know what, at the same time, like, I'm awesome and you're missing out, not me, boo. So I can laugh now, right? Like, it was like this moment of, like, it's when you have them over, like, realizing all. And then also what I've noticed with jokes, just talking about that pain and pleasure part again, I've noticed that also we really like jokes where someone overcomes something, or there's an underdog or whatever. Because, okay, cue the fucking clip in, like, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, I see what this is. This is racial. This is about my ethnicity, ain't it? Uh-huh. It's because I'm Jewish. It's because I'm Jewish.
So, as you saw in that clip, I love that one because he literally is like, oh, so this is about my ethnicity. This is about my ethnicity. And so you ready for him to say black, right? And then it's like, he says Jewish, and now you laugh so hard. And it's like, why am I laughing so hard? And it's like, because the joke played on your own prejudice or your own stereotypes, or you know how the world works, right? And so you're like, I thought he was gonna say black. Oh, you got me, you know? So there's also, like, this idea of, like, jokes can be funny because it turns an idea on its head in a way. And so with laughter, it is like seeing, like, this other perspective, right? Like, I didn't even think about it that way because I was seeing it through the anger lens, and then I was seeing it through the sadness lens, and now I'm gonna see it through the funny lens, right? And, you know, a lot of comedians talk about, like, you know, you laugh to keep from crying sometimes. And so it was like, I don't think so. I think you cry real hard and then you laugh. It's like, you know, when you have a face care regimen, do not put the toner on first. Like, we don't do that. Like, let's not put the toner on first, friend. You know what I mean? Like, that is it's a step in the process, but it's not first. You gotta get the cleanser and then some other stuff. It's like a whole, what for you is probably the way, but, like, there's a whole process. And so a lot of times it's not the emotion that's the issue. Are you doing it in the right order? You know, I hate to say that, but it's kind of like that. So, And then going in my last example with black people, I thought about white people, and it was like, you know, what if they were having the anger of like, well, don't you black people kill each other? And I thought, you know, that racism was over, and y'all just whining over stuff that didn't even happen to you, or some shit. And I'd be like, what? Like, anyway, don't make sense. But then, if that person sat there and dealt with their sadness, they would have to deal with, oh shit, white guilt is real. And, you know, I don't want to accept that my ancestors might have been vile people who did vile things to people, other people, aka black people. And, you know what I mean? It's just like, you don't want to sit there and think that. You also don't want to think like, wow, do I secretly like, you know, having white privilege because I think that's going to keep me safe from being treated the same way black people are being treated? Like, if black people aren't being treated that way, what says that shit not gonna happen to me then? You know, it's like someone might really feel that way. Like, it's almost like you don't even want to deal with, like, I don't even want to think like that. Like, I don't even, and so that could be a sadness of like, I said all these horrible things about black people just to make myself feel better about the sadness of, but what if? And what if I didn't have an abolitionist great grandfather? And so I can't use that as an excuse. Like, what are you gonna do then? It doesn't matter if you did, because how many generations of your white ass have gotten privilege? Generations, right? And so it's that idea of like, I think that one lady, Jane, but that moment when she tells them kids, when she tells all those people, if you want to be treated the way black people were treated, please stand up. Ain't no white person stand up. That was the 80s. That was the 80s. So Jane told y'all were racist. You still didn't want to listen. So that's why
I want every white person in this room who would be happy to be treated as this society in general treats our citizens, our black citizens. If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
So that's why I was like, y'all have to deal with that sadness on your own. Like, the sadness of, oh shit, I knew that this was fucked up this whole time and I really haven't been doing anything. So then that's why you'll have the people who will be like, you know what? You know what? How would that person laugh it off, right? Then, or changes from another perspective. Realize that, you know what? Well, it's really difficult to change in general. And the whole world is set up for you, is set up to be in a privilege for you. But the part that should make you laugh, because it's going to be a little painful and a little pleasurable at the same time, is the same white privilege that was given to you is the same bonds and chains that keeps you stuck in wherever you are, because your real enemy is in your in-group. The people who are holding you down are other white people who have more money than you, the rich the rich elites. Those are the people that even created racism in the first place, so poor white and black people would become friends and overthrow the establishment. Yeah, that's why racism was invented. I bet you didn't know that. Yeah, it was just to keep us away from each other. Because when slavery first started, there was white slaves, there was black slaves, and they started becoming friends and having babies. And the rich people who were their slave owners were like, don't like it. They will outnumber us. How do we make them not friends? And so they started using the term white in America. This is how it happened in America, y'all. They started using the term white, and so they kept being friends. And so then it was like, okay, well, right now we have indentured servitude. So what we'll do is we'll have it where white people will continue to have indentured servitude. So, you know, you're a slave for 10 years, and then after your slavery is worked off, you're free. But you're black, slavery for life. But then white and black people still was being cool. And it was like, oh my gosh, how do we stop them from being friends? Like, make this stop, because they keep making rebellions. Check the Bacon Rebellion. Tell me I'm not wrong. Google that shit, okay? And that they came, again, the poor people was coming together, and it was like, if we don't stop these motherfucking people from being cool with each other, they are going to kill us all. They will kill us all. Okay, and so they were like, oh, I got one better. End white slavery. And so all the white indentured servants had to be released, and they got to become sharecroppers. So they basically are doing the exact same job, except they get to leave at the end of the day. And so that's where the idea of a living wage became a thing, which is, oh, you'll never get enough money to ever touch me, the white elite. But you have the illusion of choice, because at least you're not being, you know, branded or kept in cattle slavery like the black people. So you're getting a privileged poor white person. You get to go home, even though you get to be poor for the rest of your life and your children will be hungry. But we're just gonna give you a little extra something, right? And so it's like that continued to be a thing. And so the idea of like racism was literally created to be a pacifier to poor white people who would try to stand up for their rights. They'd be like, you're not being nice to me. You're not being nice to me, rich elite white person. And that rich person would be like, you know what? You're right. I'm not being nice to you, but I'm not gonna start. But you know what? I'll give you a scapegoat. Black people. Go be mean to them. Go be mean to them. You can do whatever you want with them. They're not even people. They're not even humans. You can do whatever you want with them. Okay? So get all your frustration and anger out on them. Leave me alone. Thank you. Deuces. I'm about to have heirs to my fortune. Okay? So you can just laugh on like, are you serious? So this whole thing is just lies, a pack of lies, a pack of lies on a pack of lies, just to keep a group of people away from each other so they wouldn't overthrow another group of people. You stupid! No, that don't make sense. Exactly. Racism doesn't make sense. That's why it was made, to keep your mind in a labyrinth instead of to see the truth. To see the truth. Like, anyways. So I don't know if that's gonna make you laugh or cry, but just wanted to let you know on that truth that that's what happened. That is what happened. So yeah. So technically, the reason why black people get so mad is because you're either neglecting us because you forgot about us. Like when I see a commercial for a bra and they say, in white, flesh tone, and black, flesh tone, that looked like beige to me. Flesh tone, that looks like eggshell to me. Flesh tone, that looks like off-white to me. Oh, so you're not talking to me. You've neglected me. You didn't think about me. You forgot about me. You don't understand that I exist. Neglect. Feels so great. Or it's, I see you and I want to fuck with you. Remember lynchings? You know, the KKK was created because a bunch of poor white men lost their jobs and they were Christians and they used to meet together in like some AA type of shit. But prohibition was happening, so they didn't want to actually make it an AA thing. And so it was like, how we can get a group of guys together so we can vent about our feelings and how we're so angry that we don't even have jobs or money from other white people. That's other rich white people's problems that they did to you, but you're not looking at. And you know what we should do? We should get drunk and lynch some black people. Sounds like a good Friday night. Let's tear it up. Scapegoat. Scapegoat. Black people. Scapegoat. So neglect or scapegoat. Oh, so funny. So you're welcome. Little history lesson for you today. So, even though I went on a full ass tangent rant at the end there. I'm just saying, like, for me, a little anger, a little sadness, a little laughter means I'm doing a little better. And so can you, because when you really think about it, it's all so dumb. It's dumb, it's outdated, and you know what? And frankly, it has no place for this world. So that's why we're vibing up. So we're vibing higher. We're moving past this. It's outdated. It was built on lies. It's stupid. We're all human beings. And so when black people say we want equity before we get to equality, it's because there is a ratio of fucked upness looting from us. And the time that it took to neglect and to scapegoat, do you know all the precious resources, time, money, effort that was stolen from us? The original looters are that upper elite that I told you about. They're the original looters. They looted continents. Let's go to America. There's gold. You don't think that they was stealing from Native Americans? Let's go to Africa and steal people and their gold and their diamonds and their minerals. Let's go to South America and get the coffee. Let's go to Asia and get the tea and the silk and the... So these are... So here's another laugh moment. Pirates start off as white people. Like, it's one of those things, like, I can continue on, y'all. It is so real, the looting. So that's why it's so funny when black people do stuff that white people do all the time. It's like, y'all loot all the time. You steal from poor people all the time. And when I'm saying this, I'm going from the idea that poor people steal from poor people. Middle class people steal from poor people. Rich people steal from poor people. You wouldn't know why? Because they're vulnerable. And so they can't sue you. A rich person can sue you. Poor people can't even afford the retainer. So they get stolen from constantly. That's why black people are also kept lower. Not only to be neglected, not only to be a scapegoat, but also to use their pain that they take and put into creativity to steal that creativity from them. Because there's a strength in vulnerability. And that strength has it where African Americans have fucking created how much shit? Fucking musical genres. Like rock and roll, soul, funk. I mean R&B. It's like and that's just musical genres, right? Let's not even talk about the inventions. And then during slavery, if you invented something, your white slave master is the one who patented it, and their family is still making money off that patent right now. So if you need a direct, obvious moment to see how this went down, think about that. Yeah, that patent that my people made, that them people are still getting the royalties from. What? And then when there's been worker strikes, all the black and white people come back together again. And guess what happens? The rich elites come and say, hey, white people, we're both white. We're both white. How about this? I'm going to make you a gatekeeper. And then, you can be like a manager or something. So all you have to do is sell out black people. It worked yet again. I mean, it's happened so many times. I mean, you can either say history repeats itself or same shit, different day. But if you be wondering why black people don't trust white people, because you sell us out with the drop of a hat. Okay, to be a gatekeeper. You don't even get to the upper echelon. You selling people out for pennies. Okay. So, sometimes you gotta laugh to keep from crying. So this is my video about laughing to keep from crying. So, again, y'all, we gotta move past this bullshit. But you have to understand, you have to help yourself and realize why you personally feel so attacked when you hear about black people if you're white. And then realize what you can do to be better. What you can do to be better. Okay? Because in actuality, there's enough for all of us. There's a lie called scarcity. That was the other lie told. Someone told you a lie, there was a scarcity. So now, you're not being your full potential. Why? Because racism is to hold white people down as much as it is to hold black people down, except it holds black people down worse. So then you can point to, well, at least you don't want to be them. So it's on purpose to be meaner to us. But it don't mean that it's still not affecting you as a white person. It doesn't mean it's still not holding you down too. It's holding me further down. Let's never get it fucking twisted. It's holding me real fuck the far down. But it's also holding you down from being your best potential, because you're still going with this whole, but we're both white. That rich man don't care about you. I'm gonna say it again. That rich man don't care about you. Keep believing that he do. And see how he keeps stabbing you in the face. And you allow it. So that's my... Again, you want to vibe higher? You want to come out of this? You got to let go of that shame. You need to let go of that guilt. And then use the action. Think about the chakras. Come out of that lower vibration of shame and guilt. You come up to some acceptance. Then we go up to some action-oriented stuff. Then you get to your heart center, to your chakra, and say, oh my gosh, I need to be more compassionate. I'm like, I've just been really mean and like so fucked up to myself and to black people. What? I gotta get it together, okay? And then black people, I'm gonna need us to say, let's come out of the shame and guilt of like, man, we went through some shit and people just kept doing shit to us. And, but then remember the beauty of our resistance. There have been so many times that so many other people have died through some of the things that we've gone through. But we still here because we do this. Because the one thing they never can take from us is our joy. Through all the pain that white people put us through, black joy still always remains. We know how to still come into community with each other and do that. That is something they have never been able to beat out of us. That's why I brought up music first. That's why I brought up music first. Because even the blues sounds beautiful. Because we do this. We do this. Okay? But we don't gotta do it no more. In the sense of this. We do not need to be held down in such a fucked up way that through that horrible pain comes these bursts of creativity. Trust me, creativity also comes not just from pain, okay? It also comes from joy. Which is why we know how to tap into it, because we know how to create in joy and we know how to create in pain, because we know how to do this. This is what we do. Okay? And so that's my last thing on that. So, I love you. I love me. I love us. I love we. I'm so happy you sat here and listened to me rant about how I'm trying to laugh to keep from joy. Like, yeah, laugh to keep from crying. Okay? Because it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. And violent. And dumb. And sad. And dumb. And aggressive and scary. And dumb. It's like, but fucked up as hell. Dumb. Anyways, okay, now I'm done.